Why do some animals, like spiders or lizards, spend so much time just doing nothing? What is happening and why? What's the most energy efficient thing you can do? Nothing. If you're not hungry, it's not mating season. And there are no challengers for your territory. Why do anything? Reptiles and arthropods have taken a much different evolutionary path to success that relies on massive energy efficiency. They require very little energy and can thus live for a very long time without food and or survive in poor environments. If you're not hungry, it's not mating season. And there are no challengers for your territory. Why do anything? I tell my employer this all the time. I am trying to improve the efficiency of this organization. Why can't anyone respect that? Most organisms are in a constant struggle for energy. Obtaining energy is dangerous. You have to leave your safe burrow or go risk injury in a hunt. That's why many organisms develop strategies for minimizing the risks they need to take. And one of the most popular strategies is simply having simple, low-demand physiologies, slow metabolisms and generally low energy needs. Warm-blooded animals are fairly unique. We're like a car with the engine constantly running. That means we're ready to go from 0 to a 100 right away, but we're also guzzling gas constantly, even if we're standing still. That's why warm-blooded animals need to constantly eat. Some of the smaller, more high-energy creatures like hummingbirds can starve to death in a matter of hours. By comparison, cold-blooded animals waste zero energy on body heat. The downside is that they need to warm their bodies up with external heat like sunlight in order to get their digestive enzymes working or to get their muscles ready for fast action. But on the upside, they need so little energy that they have to take far fewer risks than warm-blooded animals. Some cold-blooded animals can go up to a year or even longer without food. That's so cool. Glad they don't get bored. Your emotions are really just another evolutionary adaptation. There's no advantage to boredom if your survival strategy relies on doing nothing. Boredom is essentially the inability to articulate what is a meaningful activity for you right now. It motivates you to change whatever it is you're doing and find something meaningful or productive to do. That lizard isn't questioning what it should be doing. It's surviving by doing nothing and not wasting energy. Humans, on the other hand, have so many needs that doing nothing is nearly always the wrong thing to do. So you get bored. To expand on that, what sorts of sensations and feelings do you have when you start getting bored? Maybe you start being really sensitive of your physical body. Things itching, being hot or cold, in a way you don't notice when you've got something on your mind. You also frequently start noticing you are hungry even when you don't really need to eat. Or sleepy when you've got enough sleep. Or are more conscious of your bladder. And of course, if you're bored, it's really easy to get H2. That's basically running down the entire survival and reproductive needs checklist right there. And it's pretty much hard-coded to run in all of our heads as soon as we're not focusing our physical and mental power on something else. Once you're idle again, then it's our brain's evolutionary job to once again get us to start taking care of ourselves. Or F. If you watch the TV show Alone, where they have to survive with minimal food, what they find/kill, one of the most important skills is to do literally nothing and not go insane. It conserves calories. If they had a book or TV, I'm sure they'd go for those. But they don't, so they just half-nap, do nothing. Even 200 years ago, and many people today, humans spent vast amounts of time doing nothing. Things like farming were seasonal and required intense work at times and no work at others. When there was nothing to do, people often did nothing. I was in rural Dominica and encountered a gent with no TV, and I doubt he could read. He had a tiny little house and grew his own food. He'd usually be sitting outside doing absolutely nothing. You often hear Europeans meeting indigenous people going on about how lazy/idle they were. It wasn't because they were slackers. There was just nothing that needed to be done, and doing other stuff was a waste of energy. I don't really have any hobbies at all. So while I was furloughed, I would often just sit in silence, just looking out the window. I found it just as stimulating as scrolling through Reddit. But didn't you miss reading the same jokes and posts thousands of times? Doing things consumes energy. Imagine if you drove your car around all day every day, you'd need to put a ton of fuel in there to keep it going. Same thing for living creatures. Creatures that are highly active, birds, rodents, etc., eat an absolutely massive amount of food compared to their size. Some birds eat double their own body weight in food every day. Imagine a 150-pound human eating 300 pounds of food every day. That's the price for moving around a lot. So some animals go the opposite route. Move very little. Eat very little. This works especially well for ambush predators like spiders. Make the web and then just wait. No use in burning excess energy. When something lands in the web, go eat it and wait some more. Horses are also a good example. Basically stand around all day, but are total monsters. Horses astound me in their ability to just do nothing. Obviously, being able to stand without using energy helps, but still. During college, I worked at a horse camp during the summer, when it was hotter than about 70 to 75 F out. The horses would stay in the barn even after we let them go at the end of the day. And I used to go up and just sit down on the tie rail in the center of the barn and watch the horses do horse stuff. In every movie that involves horses, they always add a ton of sound effects of the horses whinnying or nickering or whatever. Also like snapping at each other, little cat fights and so forth. In real life, in that sort of situation, horses kind of just stand around mostly, without making any noise whatsoever. And when they did infrequently move, it was very slow and an indirect manner. It was actually extremely calming. And it was kind of cool. Once the horses got to know me a little bit, they would sometimes meander over and just touch me really gently with their noses on the arm or something, looking for pets and or snacks. Their noses are so soft. And when they wanted to beg, they would put their nose right in your face and make sniffing noises. It looked comical because it's really hard for them to see right in front of their noses. So you would see their eyes desperately straining to make eye contact with you. I couldn't help but laugh every time. Besides energy, lots of spiders and lizards are both predator and prey. They have to balance foraging for food with avoiding predators that might eat them. They also have to balance mate attraction. Each species will have a different strategy. Most animals spend as much time as possible doing nothing, including humans. Doing nothing is a great way to not get injured or killed. Once you have all your immediate needs taken care of, food, shelter, warmth, water, then there really isn't much to do except mate. That's all most animals ever really do, with some exceptions for playing. Humans are a bit different in as much as we seem to like to create art, write books, study, talk to one another, etc. But you could really probably lump all that into playing. And I believe all of the social animals do this to some extent, which is why they're considered social animals. Even still, humans tend to gravitate towards doing nothing once immediate needs are met. In the case of lizards, they are cold-blooded. They may appear to be doing nothing, but sitting and basking allows them to digest properly, among other things. I feel like this question invokes the idea that they are bored. Maybe I'm wrong, but hear me out. The question alone makes me think, if I was a lizard or spider, I would be bored just doing nothing. But they don't have the cognitive functions to be bored. They don't even think on the same level. Think about any animal that is even close to our kind of brain functions. Crows and ravens, for instance, are super smart for their brain size. Do you ever see them just sitting there, not moving or doing anything? Nah. They are flying around and picking up shiny objects and stuff. Sure, maybe they are perched on a power line or something sometimes. But most often you will see those birds doing something rather than nothing. They likely have the brain power to think about doing other things rather than just eating, procreating, or defending against threats. Cold-blooded. Can survive on a meal a month or so in a lot of cases. There is just no reason to expend energy. You just wait for an opportunity to eat and then chill out. It's like being in a survival situation and you need to conserve energy. Paraphrasing Les Stroud here. If you don't need to run, walk. If you don't need to walk, stand. If you don't need to stand, sit. If you don't need to sit, lie down. If you don't need to be awake, sleep. Spiders are more active in the night when you are asleep than they do a lot of territory maintenance, creating/fixing webs, self-cleaning, searching for mates. Now I'm scared to sleep at night, lol. The good thing is that they are not interested in you. If they fall on your face, it's an accident, smiley face. Are you sure you're not talking about humans? Because we do that too. We spend a lot of time doing nothing. Sort of related to this, but I'm a big fan of undersea wildlife documentaries, like the Blue Planet series, and one thing I've always noticed is with all these schools of big fish, big sharks, etc., is you hardly ever see them eat anything. Unless the videographers got lucky enough to catch a feeding frenzy, but in general you just see these big fish swimming around aimlessly, yet they must be eating a lot to get that big. I guess maybe a lot of that predatory behavior is done at night. Spiders just chill to save energy. Lizards are cold-blooded, so they are usually warming up or in a dormant state until they can move again, when it gets warmer. Because they don't have consciousness that grows bored. We literally do things because we are bored. You literally should only sleep, eat, and wait to mate. If you are endangered, to activate and defend. But because we are bored, we gotta do something, and thus you have this show on Earth. Because quite literally we are all bored, and the thought of being bored scares us. The agony of boredom is just incomprehensible. It's quite interesting that a mind that is forced in sensory deprivation starts playing tricks, even generating hallucinations. I wonder if it does have something in common with boredom. I read somewhere that brain will start tasking itself with random thoughts and calculations, which could, as they said, include visual hallucinations, just to prevent itself from idling. I don't know why, but literally our brain will do about anything to prevent itself from idling, according to studies. They have not yet invented hobbies. So if it's not something involving the need to eat, not get killed, or to reproduce, they aren't going to do anything. Lizards are reptiles. They sunbathe to warm themselves, as they have cold blood. They also often lie still to hunt. I don't think they're doing nothing just because they're still.